Okay, so my name is Michelle Rodriguez, and I'm going to be refuting same-sex marriage. My opponent's secondary claims were, the life of a same-sex couple is much more expensive than that of a married couple. Without the right to marriage, working and middle-class same-sex couples are not able to afford legal services to plan for emergencies. And 3, same-sex couples are unable to provide an economic safety net for their family, and more importantly, their children. My response to secondary claim 1, which was, their life as a same-sex couple is much more expensive than that of a married couple. According to Scott Bidstra, nearly 70% of people living in the U.S. oppose gay marriage, almost the same proportion as are otherwise supportive of gay rights. This means that many of the same people who are evenly passionate in favor of gay rights oppose gays on this one issue. In addition, as CBS News recently reported, the number opposing gay marriage is higher now than it was in July, before the Massachusetts action. Some 61% of respondents in a CBS New York Times poll said that they were against gay marriage, up from 55% in July, and only 34% said that they favor gay marriage, down from 40% 5 months ago. Furthermore, 61% oppose a law allowing homosexual couples to marry, giving them the same legal rights as other married couples. 34% favor allowing gay couples to marry. In July, 55% opposed gay marriage, while 4 in 10 supported it. My opponent posed the argument that the private sector offers many benefits for married couples that do not apply to same-sex couples. I refute this by saying that according to Rabbi Aryeh Sparrow, most often they are accorded special privileges, with the government zealously targeting employers to meet quotas, and first, prove their innocence in hiring and rental practices, if they are too free from penalization. What begins as a person's or group's desire for private, individual expression always ends up with that activity being given public sanctification, with regular citizens bearing the financial cost. In addition, all things are not the same. Through the unanswered assertions of moral relativity, all things are deemed the same, and thus meaningless. The problem society over the last 40 years was more than having been asked to tolerate and accept modes of conduct heretofore outside the respectable pale. It is that those engaged in these activities demand that society redefine its institutions and overturn cherished and wise activities and traditions in order not only to accommodate but also affirm as equal, legitimate, and desirable such activities, like marriage, for example. With regards to same-sex couples are taxed for additional compensation instead of a part of a spouse's employee health insurance. This evidence came from a source that is founded primarily from a gay couple themselves, not professionals in the field to give adequate statistics, or a couple that stand neutral on the argument for that matter. Thus, the source was biased. Finally, according to Sam Schulman from the weeklystandard.com, regarding the expensiveness of a homosexual marriage, he concluded that when a gay man becomes a professor or a gay woman becomes a police officer, he or she performs the same job as a heterosexual. But there is a difference between a married couple and a same-sex couple in a long-term relationship. The difference is not in the nature of the relationship, not in the fact that lovemaking between man and woman is, as the Catholics say, open to life. The difference is between the duties that marriage imposes on married people, not rights, but rather obligations, which do not apply to same-sex love. In response to secondary claim 2, which was, without the right to marriage, working and middle-class same-sex couples are not able to afford legal services to plan for emergencies. My opponent came to state that working and middle-class same-sex couples are not able to afford legal services to plan for emergencies. He did not, however, include the lower class. This group of people still make a majority in our society today. Overall, 13% fall under the poverty threshold, including homosexuals. Furthermore, he also stated that same-sex couples cannot receive the Social Security survivor benefits that married couples do, and may be left without any means of supporting themselves. First of all, the job market is always available to take new hires, regardless of sex, gender, or ethnicity. This is a dramatic sentence that serves more as a threat than an actual fact. There has not been a case where a partner of a deceased homosexual died or failed to support his or herself after the death occurred. In regards to same-sex partners, are often left out of the life-changing medical decision-making process without expensive legal documents, as stated by my opponent. The only source was one study in regards to this, not an extensive research. We cannot draw conclusions on just one study for the general public. Thus, this cannot be generalized of all the hospitals and the American people, since this was, after all, not an actual real case scenario. In response to Secretary Claim 3, which was, same-sex couples are unable to provide an economic safety net for their family, and more importantly, their children, I first start by saying that it is a marriage concerned with all female sexuality. The very existence of kinship depends on the protection of females from rape, degradation, and concubinage. This is why marriage between men and women has been necessary in virtually every society ever known. Marriage, whatever its particular manifestation and a particular cultural epoch, is essentially about who may and who may not have sexual access to a woman when she becomes an adult, and is also about her adulthood, and sexual accessibility is defined. Again, until quite recently, the woman herself had little or nothing to say about this, while her parents in the community to which the answers had total control. The guardians of a female child or young woman had a duty to protect her virginity until the time came when marriage was permitted, or more frequently, insisted upon. This may seem a grim thing for the young woman if you think of how the teenage Natalie Wood was not permitted to go far with Warren Beatty in Splendor in the Grass. What was duty of virginity can seem like a privilege, even a luxury, if you contrast it with the fate of a child prostitute in brothels around the world. No wonder that weddings tend to be regarded as religious ceremonies in almost every culture. They celebrate the completion of a difficult task for the community as a whole. My opponent stated that children would suffer from the parents' eligibility of access to all rights and benefits that secure their financial well-being. This is not the government's fault, but rather the parents' fault for not providing for the children to what was already accessible to them. This, furthermore, is a generalization, once again, of children of gay marriages, where there has not been major support or cases of children living in poverty or dying as a result of the gay marriage. This most profound aspect of marriage, protecting and controlling the sexuality of the childbearing sex, is its only the true reason for being, and it has no equivalent in same-sex marriage. Virginity until marriage, arranged marriages, the special status of the sexuality of one partner but not another, these motivating forces for marriage do not apply to same-sex lovers. Second, kinship modifies marriages by imposing a set of rules that determines not only whom one may marry or the right of age, but more important, whom one may not marry. Incest prohibition and other kinship rules that dictate one's few permissible and many impermissible sweethearts are part of traditional marriage. Gay marriage is blissfully free of these constraints. There is no particular reason to ban sexual intercourse between brothers, a father, a son of consenting age, or mother and daughter. A same-sex marriage fails utterly to create forbidden relationships. If Tommy marries Bill and they divorce, and Bill later marries a woman and has a daughter, no incest prohibition prevents Bill's daughter from marrying Tommy. The relationship between Bill and Tommy is a romantic fact, but it can't be fitted into the kinship system. This ultimately is not the example we want to give our children in future years. Equality encompasses ethnicity, the struggle that was already fought for. Marriage was created by God for a man and a woman, not for a man and a man or a woman and a woman. Furthermore, if these homosexual marriages cannot have children, why should they be able to keep or raise them?
All right, you ID the topic but not the main claim. It seems like it's just a general argument about same-sex marriage. The secondary points were labeled and you apply some arguments to those issues, but it seems like your responses have less to do with the issues and the evidence that the advocate presented and more to do with the counterclaims that you're presenting. You get sidetracked on a lot of value claims, and I don't remember if the advocates argued several value claims about the legitimacy of this. You get involved in a big background argument on what the principles of marriage are, and instead of addressing the specific claims that the advocate's talking about. And I think that that's a little bit problematic because those seem like tangents to the main point. And when you go, substantially over time, 8 minutes and 33 seconds, so if you're 3 minutes and 33 seconds over, that's a little bit problematic. You're doing a lot of reading, and it sounds like some of the information is not being cited completely, so you want to be careful about that. Thank you.